And now, without any further ado, let's get started. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you some of my colleagues from athletics. Today we will have Ray Grant from Athletics and Recreation. He is the Associate Director of Athletics and Recreation. We have John Diamond, who's the Assistant Director of Athletics, Marketing and Ticketing, and Brittany Kelly, the Athletic Ticket Manager. So let's get started. Hannah, can you pull up our slides?
Thanks, Mikhail, and welcome to everybody. Really very happy to have you here and looking forward to a nice conversation. Just a little bit about myself. I'm Ray Grant. I'm the Associate Director of Athletics for Recreation. I've been at Brown going on 9 years now. And in addition to being an employee at Brown, I'm a parent of Brown, two children who graduated from Brown in 2010, one with a bachelor's degree and one with a master's degree. So I do have a little bit of experience with the Brown experience itself as a parent as well as an employee. Thought it'd be helpful to just give you an overview of Brown University Athletics and Recreation and what we're all about. And as you can see from the very first slide, we're about igniting the Brown experience. We want to talk to you about general athletics and recreation offerings, some of our club, intramural, and recreation and fitness offerings. John will be talking to you about spirit and community and how we support our Bear athletic programs. Our foundational belief is pretty simple, but certainly crucial to our mission, and that is that physical fitness and recreation is critical to every Brown community member's personal wellness equation. And we really believe that here at Brown, and we believe that in the athletics and recreation department and division, and we're happy to share that information with you. Just kind of a basic broad overview. Recreation wise, club sports, we have 36 club teams. In the last academic year, we had about 1,425 students participating in club sports, and we have basically 3 tiers of club sports. Our intramurals, we offer 3 competitive seasons. We offer a fall, a spring, and a summer season. In the fall semester alone last year, we had about 1,200 students participating in our intramurals. With regard to group fitness, we have about 75 class offerings per week. We had about 925 monthly participants in our group fitness offerings, and those group fitness offerings go a wide range of activities from spin to strength training to dance to yoga, meditation. And then with regard to our fitness, we have about 1,200 people passing through our fitness area every single solitary day. And our fitness opportunities, indoor fitness opportunities at least, include our fitness loft, which is located at the Nelson Fitness Center, which also houses our Olympic-size swimming pool, the Meehan Ice Rink, where we do open limited hours for recreational ice skating, our OMAC, which is our indoor track and basketball facility. And then, of course, our aquatics was mentioned as part of our fitness loft. And then we also do have indoor tennis courts and indoor squash that are located on the top level of the Pizzatola Sports Center that are available to our students. Where we are right now, we currently in our last academic year in the fall semester, we had approximately 77% of all of our undergraduate students are engaged in our recreational offerings and activities in some fashion or another, whether that's with club sports or intramurals or just coming in and working out or using the facilities. We had approximately 5,151 students drop in to our fitness facilities over the course of the fall semester. And then, as you can see, the numbers, 1,200 or so fall intramural participants and another 1,400 or so club sport team participants. And that does not include the approximately almost 1,000 varsity athletes that we have competing in intercollegiate sports programs here at Brown. So we do have a robust program. Our goal it's a lofty goal, but it's one that we believe that we can achieve and that we all are working towards, is to engage at least 90% of our undergraduate students in some sort of recreational activity here at Brown. Our focus, as we said at the beginning, is just to really ignite passion and transform lives. We strongly and firmly believe that getting people out and active and getting involved in a community will certainly help to transform their educational and academic experience. And we're happy to be able to bring that to all of you here at Brown. And with that, I'll kind of turn it over to John and Brittany, and they can talk a little bit about spirit and community and some of the interscholastic, intercollegiate programs that we offer.
Thanks, Ray. So to touch a little bit on varsity athletics, we have 34 sports at Brown, with about 15% of the undergraduate population participating in varsity athletics. So if you aren't involved in athletics, or someone in your family, then certainly you have classmates and friends that are. And athletics is a great community building opportunity for students here at Brown. All events are free for students, and so we strongly encourage event participation and attendance. And we're seeing over the last year, especially, a great amount of support for our student athletes, both from students and faculty here on campus, as well as community members. And want to make sure everyone is aware of those opportunities to attend games and be a Brown fan. A few quick items here for everyone to be aware of. We've got Bruno the bear as our mascot, as you can see there. Ever True to Brown is our school song, which hopefully everyone can learn in the upcoming year as we celebrate a lot of wins and exciting moments with Brown athletics. And for those interested in getting some Brown gear before you get on campus, you can do so at the Brown bookstore, as well as brownbears.com. And I'll turn it over to Brittany to talk about some ticketing.
Hello guys, my name is Brittany. As John mentioned, students are free with their Brown ID. All they have to do is just show their ID at the door and they're all set. We have 8 ticketed sports, so those are the events that the students will need their ID for. The other sports are students can just walk in and enjoy that. If you are interested in purchasing tickets for our events, you can visit brownbears.com and click on the ticket link right at the top of the page, and you'll be able to purchase your tickets there. If there are any parents on this call that have student athletes for the 8 ticketed sports, the incoming freshmen and first year will learn how to actually request those tickets in order for you guys to attend those events for free. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask that in the chat or towards the end of this session.
Great, and I think we can open it up to any questions that anyone may have, whether that's for Ray on the recreation side or for Brittany or myself for varsity athletics.
All right, well, we've had a few questions come in advance that I'll throw out to you. Ray, you probably have a good sense of this, especially since you're a parent as well. How can students balance the their participation in athletics and recreation with their academics? Is there a certain amount of teams or that they should join, or an amount of hours that they should be dedicating to this?
That's a great question, Mikhail. I think it's really all individualized. It's really what the student is trying to achieve out of their experience. For some students and for some people, they'll find that 1 or 2 activities is just enough, and it's the right mix for them. And then for others, that's not nearly enough, and they're going to look for 3, 4, 5, or 6 opportunities for them to stay busy. With both of my children, one of my son was a swimmer here, so he competed on the swim team for 4 years. My daughter was an undergrad at Colgate. She was also a swimmer. She swam for 4 years, and then she came here for her master's degree. So we see really a mix, both as a parent and also as somebody who's been here for a long time and worked with a lot of these student athletes. We really see a mix. I tend to be a little bit more conservative, and that I caution people, try not to bite off a little bit too much, at least especially during that first semester. It's advice that I give to our student employees quite frequently when we're interviewing them. They'll be like, oh, I want to work 10, 15, 20 hours a week. It's like, okay, well, maybe we might want to start out at 10 or 6 or 8 and see how it goes, so that they don't end up being overwhelmed initially. So obviously we want our students involved and engaged and developing that community. But my word of caution would be, go slow and learn about being here at Brown and what the Brown experience is. And then you can grow and build from there.
Is it fair to say there's enough opportunities for engagement with athletics that if you don't start it your first year, you still have plenty of opportunities?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment. There's always opportunity to get involved. And even if you don't get involved the first semester, and you're like, I really need to kind of settle in, figure out what my academics are about, get used to living, away from home. And then, you know what, I can handle this. And so now can I get involved in the spring semester? Can I get involved in the summer semester? Can I get involved moving forward? We see quite a bit of that. And it's why we have different offerings, particularly with our intramurals. We have different offerings in the spring and in the fall and in the summer, so that students have an opportunity to experience different things at different levels whenever they choose to get involved.
Thank you. And we'll get back to, we have a lot of questions about club sports and intramurals. We'll get to that in just a second. I did want to talk a little bit more about the facilities. We had questions about exactly where are the recreational facilities in relations to where students are living, and how far of a walk is it for them to get there?
Sure. All of our athletic facilities here at Brown, with the exception of the football stadium, are right here on the Erickson Athletic Complex, which is located on the corner of Lloyd and Hope Street. It is approximately, I can walk it in about 12 minutes from the freshman dorms down in Keeney Quad, all the way up to the Nelson Fitness Center and our athletic complex. All 5 of our indoor buildings are located right here. So our Nelson Fitness Center, the pool are located here. The OMAC is located right here, which is our indoor track, indoor basketball courts. The Pizzatola, which is where our basketball games, wrestling, volleyball take place, where indoor tennis courts, squash courts are located right here, as well as our ice rink. And then right behind these facilities are all of our outdoor athletic fields, and our newest addition, which is the Center for Lacrosse and Soccer, which is where our lacrosse and soccer teams compete, and their offices and locker rooms are located. So everything is right here, like I said, with the exception of the football stadium, which, John, you might have a better sense of the walk down to the football stadium, maybe 10, 15 minutes from the athletic fields, right?
Yeah, the football stadium is about a mile from the rest of the athletic complex that Ray just described. A good thing to know also is there are shuttles that run from campus to all athletics complexes, directly outside of the Nelson Fitness Center and all of the recreation facilities, as well as to the football stadium on game days. We have shuttles available from campus as well. So all very accessible, even if you don't want to make the 10-minute or so walk.
Great, thank you. And somebody asked if the renovations at the football stadium are complete.
So there is brand new turf at the football stadium. Certainly, we're hopeful that there will be future renovations as well, but all of the ongoing construction at the stadium, which was for that new turf, is completed.
Thank you. Another question is if there are fitness facilities within the dorms or in other satellite locations outside of the Nelson Fitness Center.
So there's one small area inside one of the dorms by Keeney. It's in one of the graduate center dorms, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a graduate dorm, that has about 6 pieces of cardio equipment. And then we are in the process of renovating a large space over in the Keeney Quad, which is the freshman dorms, which we're going to have become a multi-use facility. And we are going to be expanding our offerings to include some group fitness classes, some small group personal training, and other types of activities in that space right there in the freshman dorm in that quadrangle.
Great, thank you. And I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, Ray, but do you have the operating hours of the fitness facilities? And if not, where people can find that?
Sure. Just about everything and anything that I'm going to talk about today is located on our website, which is brownrec.com. But typically our hours of operation will vary dependent upon the semester. And, you know, we start to dial back our hours a little bit during exam period and during reading period, because the students, you know, need a little bit of extra time for those types of activities. But in general, Mondays through Thursdays, our facilities are typically open from about 6 o'clock in the morning till 10:30 at night. Fridays, we tend to dial it back a little bit so that we're open until probably somewhere between 8 and 9. And then on the weekends, we typically are open from about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 9 o'clock in the evening. And that holds true for the Nelson Fitness Center and also the OMAC, you know, and then tennis and squash and the ice rink for recreational skate have varied hours.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to the questions about the club sports that we've had. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the 3 tiers for club sports?
Sure. And again, as I said, I think, Mikhail, you can probably drop the link in the chat for anybody that's participating for access to our club sports page of the Brown Recreation website. There's really a lot of detailed information there, including, you know, our club sports handbook, all of the different club sports that we have to offer. So without getting too deep into the weeds, we basically have 3 or 4 tiers, if you will, of club sports. The first tier is what we consider to be tier A, which is highly competitive programs. Those are programs that are participating in about 6 or more competitions a year. They have joined league memberships, or they have a league membership, or there's a governing body that controls the league and the operation. And these are programs that have the potential to compete in a regional or national tournament. The goal for those is that they become self-sufficient operations through annual fundraising and endowments. Okay, and that's our tier A program. Our tier B are competitive / recreational, if you will, club sports. Those are club sports that are participating in 3 or more competitions a year, that they have an opportunity to compete in the regional or national tournaments. And proof of league membership and or again a governing body is required in order for them to compete in those tournaments. And that's kind of our second tier of groups. Our third tier of club sports are basically our instructional club sports. Those are our club sports where some of those are in their infancy. Some of those are just growing, and they're a little bit less competitive. And as I said, as it says, you know, more instructional in nature. And then we have a tier D, which is really our probation, but not really probation. That's for brand new clubs that are in their first year or second year of operation, you know, that are getting established and developing a routine.
All right, thank you for that. All right, I have a few questions I think that are probably for Brittany and John. We had somebody ask if you could explain a little bit more about the tickets for the sports for parents, or I'm sorry, the tickets for sports that are ticketed and the free 4 complimentary tickets. If you could just go over that one more time.
Yes, I can. Thank you. So the 8 ticketed sports that we have here at Brown are football, men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, men's and women's lacrosse, and men's hockey. So every student athlete is allowed to request up to 4 complimentary tickets for their specific sport. So if you have a student athlete that's part of the football program, they'll have the ability to request 4 complimentary tickets. They'll write down their guest name, and then we'll have that at a roll call table for when you arrive. Like I said, that's for the students for those specific sports. The student athletes will receive instruction on how to go through that process later on this summer.
Great, thank you. And then we've had a question about how to watch sporting events virtually, especially for international parents. Can you talk about how different ways people can view events if they can't make it to campus?
Absolutely, yeah. So everything is a little different for home events than for events that take place off campus at other schools. All of our home events are streamed on brownbears.com. Now, depending on where you live, whether you're in the United States or outside of the United States, that will determine the exact program that is used to stream those events. If you live in the US, all of our games are streamed to ESPN Plus, which is a streaming service. And then that is not available outside of the US, at least in some countries. And so there will be a link on brownbears.com that will link you to the international broadcast for those of you who do not have access to ESPN Plus. Now, all Ivy League competition is on ESPN Plus. So whether we're home or on the road at other Ivy League institutions, you can consistently expect to watch it there. When we play some other schools in different conferences, it can vary, but we'll always have a link on brownbears.com. So if you just go to the respective sport schedule, you'll see a link to the video stream regardless of the program that it's being streamed through.
All right, thank you. Right, we had a question about the facilities for rowing and sailing. Can you talk about where those are located in relation to the campus?
Sure. So our crew operates out of our boathouse, which is I would say about 1.5 miles from campus. It's down on the Seekonk River. And there, as John said, there are shuttles that run back and forth. For sailing, they're located out of the Edgewood Yacht Club, which is down in the Warwick area. Again, there are shuttles that provide access down there, and that's more out on Narragansett Bay.
Great, thank you. And we've had a lot of questions regarding varsity teams, and I just want to let everybody know that we are going to hold one of these sessions specifically for parents and family members of varsity athletes. So the questions here that are about their health forms or walking onto a varsity team, things like that, you will get information about varsity athletics in another webinar that's going to be coming up in the near future. So I'm going to hold off on those questions because we do have that webinar planned for later this month. So let's talk more about balancing the obligation to sports and to academics. You mentioned to take it slow for non-varsity athletes. Can you talk a little bit more about the support that athletics might provide in terms of recognizing if there are other like mental or emotional health needs for these students? Is that something that you're focusing on within athletics, or is that something that you refer to other departments?
No, I mean, athletics, and again, I think that this is probably better with the varsity program, because the varsity athletic program has, specific support services for our student athletes. So there are very specific programs for our student athletes. And quite honestly, most of our student athletes, particularly varsity student athletes competing at, Division I Ivy League level, those are students that have been participating in sports their entire lives and have already figured out, a good portion of that balance. And quite frankly, as I saw with my own children, if you take them out of that, they don't function quite as well. Like they need that level of engagement and that level of involvement. And that has allowed for them to develop certain skills with regard to time management. So to help them be successful. When it comes to club and intramurals, if people are looking for additional support, we would refer them to our, career counseling services, some of our CAPS program, and also some of the, if they feel like they need some assistance with academics, we would refer them to the academic deans and or potentially to some, tutoring programs that are available on campus to help them navigate those situations.
Okay, thank you. Back to club sports. How do students find out when tryouts are? And typically when does that happen?
Sure. I mean, I hate to say it's on the website, but that's typically how we communicate with most everybody. There will be some activities fairs that will take place on campus. A lot of those are still being planned, and the dates, will be announced to the students as they come to campus as part of their freshman orientation. But those are always a great opportunity, not just for athletics, intramurals and club sports, but also just about any other student activity on campus. Those are great opportunities for students to kind of survey the landscape and see what's available to them. We here in athletics and recreation are always looking for student employees. So, you'll see John and Brittany at those student activities fairs, telling people about opportunities for, student employment, working the games, helping with the ticket office and, scanning people into games, that sort of thing. We're always looking for student workers here in our fitness center. For some of our aquatics events, we're always looking for people. So it's going to be a combination, honestly, of looking at what's available on the website and then also attending some of these very specific activities fairs to get the information they're looking for.
Great, thank you. Question about the Nelson Fitness Center. Is there a membership fee for students for the Nelson Fitness Center?
There is not. The membership fee is included in the tuition. So there is a recreation fee that's included in tuition. So every student here at Brown University has access to the Nelson Fitness Center. They have access to the OMAC, and then they have access to the other recreational facilities that we have. So it's just a matter of having their Brown ID and swiping in when they come in to use the facility. For the group fitness classes, there is a charge for the group fitness classes. Most of our students will purchase a pass. It's like $60 for the semester, and that allows them unlimited access to all of the group fitness classes that we offer. So if they wanted to take all 75 classes in a week, they could take all 75 classes in a week. If they're just looking for a one-off class here and there, there's a $5 fee for those. But there is not a fee to just use the athletic facilities, recreational facilities separate and apart from that.
Great, thank you. We had a question about health and safety in the fitness center, and I'll share in the chat the link to Healthy Brown, which outlines all the policies that we've had, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I know that's where most of this information lives, but can you talk a little bit about, and obviously we're coming out of the pandemic, but how does athletics and recreation guide their policies? Is that just in step with the university, or do you have other precautions on top of what?
We are compliant with the university policy. So, the University Healthy at Brown, they are the ones that are making the determination as to what is required at each one of our facilities and when that is required. And we just follow those procedures. So currently there is no masking required when someone is indoors. Certainly people have an opportunity to wear a mask if they feel as though that's appropriate. And we have many people that still continue to do so. There have been occasions where, the university has felt that the risk was too high, and we've gone back to wearing masks indoors. And in many of those instances, those masks are required while people are working out as well. So it really just is Brown, has the science necessary to make these informed decisions, and they make these informed decisions, and we just are responsible for making certain that we're compliant with the policies and procedures that Brown establishes.
Thank you. I know we can't talk about every sport specifically, but we've had a few questions come in about the tennis facilities, and especially, are these available to students who aren't on a club or other tennis team?
Sure. So we have outdoor courts. There are 8 outdoor courts. Those are available to anyone, in the Brown community to utilize when the weather is appropriate and when they're not being occupied for our varsity matches and or varsity practices. We have 4 indoor courts. They're located up on the 4th floor of the Pizzatola Sports Complex. And those are available during set hours that students can find on our website for reservation. And there is no cost for students to reserve those courts. Typically, those courts are available when the varsity teams are not using the facility, and or as long as club sports doesn't have a scheduled practice. So we schedule our varsity activities, we schedule our club sport activities, and then we open up the courts to students for recreational tennis use. Very similar with our squash courts, which are located on the 3rd floor of the Pizzatola. A very similar set of circumstances.
All right, thank you. So this question is from a parent whose child is a softball player, and has asked, if there isn't a club softball team and you have a student who's really passionate about a sport that isn't represented in the club level at the moment, is it possible for students to organize and create their own club team?
It is. There's a process to go through. All of our club sports, the key to success for all of our club sports is, student interest, participation, and leadership, because all of our club sports are student-run organizations. We have a club sport executive council, and we provide administrative support, through our club sport and intramural sport manager and coordinator. And what they do is provide some operational guidance, provide some human resources, facilities, and then some financial resources and assistance in helping the students get these programs up and running. So if there is an interest and there is somebody that's passionate about forming a club, then there is a process that they can go through. They would first reach out to the club and intramural sports manager and start the conversation there. That would, filter down through the club executive council, and they would provide the necessary steps for someone to begin to form a club. And pretty much the same thing for an intramural as well. A little bit different, but if there's a particular intramural activity that somebody would like to see that doesn't exist, then the first step would be reaching out to the club and intramural sports manager to say, hey, listen, I've got 10, 15, 20 people that would really like to do this, and how can we make this happen? It's very similar to our open curriculum here at Brown. We really encourage students to find their own way and find their path and follow their passion. And if it's something that we can help facilitate, then we certainly will.
Thank you. And I'm going to chat out the link to student activities as well. And on that site, there is a list of all the different student clubs that are run out of the student activities office. And if you're not finding it in recreation, you might just find it there. There's more club or more activities and groups there than you can imagine. So I would also use that as a resource as well. All right. So one of the questions that we received was about health forms. And, if this is right, if you don't have the answers to this, we can go over this in our webinar tomorrow. But we had a question about if a physician's report is required for non-varsity sports participation.
To the best of my knowledge, it is not. All we require are the forms that every student is required to provide the university as they matriculate and become a student. We just require a waiver of participation for people participating in the club and intramural sports. But there is no additional requirements.
Okay, thank you. John and Brittany, you talked about school spirit, and we love to see people representing Brown at our games. Where can people purchase apparel and gear to show their spirit?
Brownbears.com is our website and the best place to get information. Get your tickets, you can get your apparel. There's links to everything you can think of on that webpage. Another thing that I wanted to mention that's also available right there on brownbears.com is you can sign up for our weekly newsletter. You'll see just below the schedule on the homepage of brownbears.com is the sign up for the weekly email. All Brown students get that automatically to their Brown email when they officially get access to their email account. But for anybody externally, parents, family members that want to support the team, you can sign up for that email blast as well to get up-to-date information on upcoming events, offers on apparel or ticket discounts, things along those lines, as well as just general information to follow the Brown teams.
Great, thank you. Here's kind of a basic question. It's one that I get mixed up occasionally. So Ray, maybe you can help us. What is the difference between a club sport and an intramural sport?
Sure. Intramurals really are, they're activities, they're sports for sure, but they're just a little bit less competitive and more instructional and an opportunity for people to participate. So it's people that, some of our intramural programs, and it's not to say that the students that are involved in these aren't passionate about what it is that they're doing, but a lot of these intramural sports, are sports that don't have national governing bodies, let's say, leagues and league rules and that sort of thing. So they're really more intramural sports are really more Brown affiliated. So there's 20 people that want to play 5-on-5 soccer, let's say. So that's, we're going to break that up into 4 or 5 teams and they're going to play each other. So it's Brown students playing Brown students in an intramural sport. Whereas with club sports, you're traveling outside and you're participating against other universities in those activities. I think that's the easiest way to explain it.
Great, thank you. That's helpful. And related to that, what is the financial obligation when it comes to club sports, their travel and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, the financial obligation really depends on the club, the tier that the club is involved in. But there's certain fundraising requirements for different tiers of clubs. So it's really hard to kind of say in a broad brush, this is what the requirement is.
Okay. So we had another question, a little bit specific question about club ice hockey. Is it full contact?
It is full contact.
And is it co-ed?
It is.
All right, thank you. And then we had a question about basketball, club basketball too, where I guess somebody's looking for more specific information on that.
I would refer them honestly to either the men's club basketball or the women's club basketball portion of our website to get information on that.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, it looks like we've covered a number of questions today. Feel free to reach out to me with any other additional questions at family@brown.edu. And I know we did get a few questions in terms of the living accommodations for athletes, and I would refer people to the Wednesday webinar on residential life, and to submit your questions at that time. We can go over some of that information with the staff from Res Life there. And then, of course, for anybody who had questions about varsity athletics, please stay tuned. We'll be sending out information for a specific session on that as well. So with all of that, I'd like to thank all of our panelists, Brittany, Ray, John, and thank you all for attending. And again, my contact information is family@brown.edu, and be happy to answer any of your questions. And please check back on the site for the recording at a later time. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.